let's emphasize a few names that will be very present on this day. Lucia Rommel is his wife. Manfred Rommel is his son. Wilhelm Keitel was a field marshal of the German army and military advisor to Adolf Hitler. In fact, he was the one who signed Germany's unconditional surrender in Berlin on May 8, 1945. Burgdorf and Meisel are the two German generals who will be in his house in his final moments. Hermann Aldinger, captain who assists Rommel on this day. Let's go. In the hope of keeping his family safe from Allied bombings, Rommel chose Herrlingen as a refuge for his wife, Lucy, and his beloved only son, Manfred Rommel. Herrlingen became Rommel's base of operations during his final year of life. On the fateful day when Rommel fell, sensing an imminent threat from Adolf Hitler's regime, but wishing to avoid capture by the Allies, Rommel took refuge in Herrlingen and refused to leave the area. During the summer and early autumn of 1944, Gestapo agents and SS civil officers discreetly watched him. His personal guard was withdrawn by higher orders, leaving him alone with his faithful Dachshund and his pistol for self-defense. For months, Rommel had been claiming to know that his enemies in the high command were conspiring against him in Hitler's ear, but only began to suspect more serious accusations when his chief of staff, General Speitel, was detained by the Gestapo on September 7, 1944. Speitel became a victim of the internal purge triggered within the Wehrmacht after the failed July 20th plot, Operation Valkyrie. On October 7, 1944, the Supreme Commander of the Oberkommando der Wehrmacht, Field Marshal Wilhelm Keitel, called Rommel and ordered him to leave for Berlin on the 10th for a supposed interview about his future. Rommel refused, claiming lack of medical permission, and shortly after hung up the phone. After the conversation, he informed his assistant, Captain Aldinger, that he did not believe he would be allowed to arrive alive in Berlin if he undertook such a trip. On October 13th, Rommel received a call from the headquarters of War District 5 in Stuttgart, informing him that Generals Burgdorf and Meisel would arrive in Herrlingen at noon the following day. Aldinger suggested that the two generals were probably coming to talk about the invasion or a new job, but Rommel remained unusually silent for the rest of the day. We finally arrive at October 14th, the last day. On this day, Rommel's only son, Manfred, was allowed to return home to visit his father, who was still recovering. After breakfast, father and son took a walk together in the garden. The two did not foresee what was about to happen that day. At noon, the two generals will come to the house to discuss my future employment, Rommel told his son. So today I will know their arrangements for me, and they may send me to work at the Eastern Command Post. Before the clock struck noon, Rommel changed his clothes, put on his favorite uniform, the leather jacket of the African Legion, and waited in the room on the first floor. Around noon, a dark green car with a Berlin license plate stopped in front of the gate. Besides Rommel, the only men in the family were Captain Aldinger, who was also seriously injured during the inspection with Rommel, and Rommel's 15-year-old son, Manfred. What they perhaps did not know is that, at that moment, the Gestapo was surrounding Rommel's residence. To prevent Rommel from escaping, the road between Munich and Stuttgart was also blocked. Two generals, Army Personnel Director Burgdorf and Chief of the Guard Meisel, got out of the car, entered the house, and brought Rommel's invitation to death. They politely asked Rommel, hoping to speak with him alone. Manfred couldn't help but sigh with relief and think, "It seems they are not going to arrest my father," so he left the room with Captain Aldinger. He politely said to the respected field marshal, "The head of state allows you to choose. If you know nothing about the accusations of murder, you must explain it to the head of state. If that is not the case, arrest and interrogation will be inevitable." Soon, Rommel regained his composure from the initial shock. He knew that the so-called choice was only a facade. He had to die. There was no choice. Burgdorf said, "The head of state promised that if you commit suicide, your treason will be kept strictly confidential. A state funeral will be held for you, and it will be ensured that no extraordinary measures will be taken against your relatives. Lucia will receive the full field marshal's pension, and, eventually, a monument will be built for you. This is a recognition of your past contributions to the empire." Rommel knew that today was inevitable and that he should die by the hands of his loyal head of state. Rommel then went upstairs and entered his wife's room. After a few minutes of silence, he said the following: "I've come to say goodbye. In 15 minutes, I will be dead. They suspect that I participated in the attempt to assassinate Hitler. I answered no, but it was useless. It's the method they always use. The Führer gives me the option between poison or being judged by the people's court. Defend yourself. I choose the court," his wife energetically replied. "It's useless. I wouldn't make it to Berlin. They would kill me on the way." Suddenly, he notices the presence of his son, who was secretly listening to the conversation. Upon seeing him, he calls him with a tense voice and takes him to his room to inform him of the situation. "I just told your mother that I must die within 15 minutes. It's hard to end like this, but the house is surrounded, and Hitler accuses me of high treason. Given the services rendered in Africa, I have the option of committing suicide with a poison that the generals carry with them, and which will take effect in 2 seconds. Do you believe that?" interrupts Manfred. "Yes, I believe. They are interested in keeping this matter as quiet as possible, and they also charged me with obtaining your promise of strict silence. If you utter a single word about what happened here, they will not feel bound by the agreement. Couldn't we defend ourselves?" Manfred: "It would be useless. It's better for only one to die than for all of us to end up involved in a useless shootout. Besides, we don't have enough ammunition to confront them." After a brief farewell, Rommel asks Manfred to call Aldinger. Upon hearing Manfred call him, Aldinger quickly climbs the stairs. As he enters the house, he hears Mrs. Rommel sobbing in her room. When he finally learns what is happening, he is shocked. However, he is not willing to accept it. "You should at least escape. Damn it, Rommel! Tell me why we can't run away and find a way to hide for a while? Haven't we been in worse situations before and survived to tell the story?" "This is different, my friend," replies the marshal. "All the streets are blocked by SS men, cars, and the Gestapo are everywhere. Apparently, we can't count on the troops either. Since they've taken the telephone, I can't even call my headquarters. But what if we shoot Bergdorf and Mazel? At least we could—" "No, they have their orders. I have to think about Manfred and my wife. If I choose the first option, they will not suffer any harm, and they will still receive a pension. As for me, I will have a state funeral. I will be buried here in Herrlingen." Then the two left the house together. Bergdorf and Messer were standing at the gate, waiting for them. When Marshal Rommel approached the two, they immediately raised their right arms, saluted, and respectfully greeted Field Marshal while making way. A group of villagers also stood by the roadside. The car was ready. The driver opened the door for Rommel. Rommel placed the marshal's baton, symbolizing his last honor, under his left arm, shook hands with his son and Aldinger, and then entered the car. In the blink of an eye, the car disappeared behind a curve. After the car traveled 500 meters, it stopped in a clearing next to a small forest. Bergdorf asked Messer and the driver to get out of the car and move away, returning in 5 minutes. Later, the driver recalled, "About 10 minutes later, we returned to the car. I saw Rommel sitting in the back seat of the car. He was clearly dying. He collapsed unconscious and was gasping. There was still potassium cyanide in his mouth." 20 minutes later, the phone rang. Aldinger received the report of Rommel's death. Manfred later learned that their house was surrounded by the Gestapo, and everything was under their supervision. If Rommel resisted, the Gestapo had orders to storm the room and shoot Field Marshal Rommel. 25 minutes later, the phone rang. Aldinger answered. The Field Marshal had supposedly suffered a hemorrhage. Then Aldinger slowly climbed the stairs towards Rommel's widow. There was no need to speak. 3 German giants spoke about the event. Hitler said the following: "Accept my sincere sorrow for the sensitive loss that the death of your dear husband represents for you. The name of Marshal Rommel will forever be associated with the heroic campaigns of North Africa." Propaganda Minister Joseph Goebbels wrote a letter that said, "On the occasion of the painful loss experienced in the person of your husband, my wife and I convey the testimony of our unchanging consideration. With Marshal Rommel, the German army loses one of its most illustrious leaders, whose name will forever be associated with the heroic struggle waged for 2 years by the Afrika Korps. Receive the testimony of our most sincere condolences." And finally, Hermann Göring said, "I was deeply moved to learn that your husband, Marshal Rommel, died as a hero as a result of his wounds. Although we all hoped that he would continue belonging to the German people for a long time, I express my deep sorrow on my own behalf and on behalf of the German Luftwaffe. His funeral was held on October 18, 1944, with the highest military honors of the Third Reich, and, officially, his cause of death was announced as the result of injuries he had received months earlier. His remains, after being cremated, were buried in Herrlingen, Germany, in the cemetery near his home. His family was not persecuted after his death. One of his sons reached the position of mayor, Bürgermeister, of the city of Stuttgart. Countless legends arose around the myth of Rommel, but his military skill and conduct on the battlefield were never questioned. Narratives such as the expression, "to do a Rommel," adopted by the soldiers of the British 8th Army to describe the flawless execution of a task, highlight his cunning and improvisational ability, which earned him the nickname Desert Fox. Captain Hermann Aldinger, the military aide who assisted Rommel and put on his coat for the last time, survived the war and died in 1993 in Munich at the age of 86. His wife passed away on December 26, 1971, at the age of 77, and was buried next to the remains of her husband. Erwin Rommel served under 3 German governments, never joining the Nazi Party, and died at the age of 52. Thank you very much for your audience. May God bless you all. A big hug, and see you soon.